So yesterday was the last day of our last show of the year. We did the Alabama Hunter Jumper Association year-end show, and it was actually the first time we had done this show. I highly recommend. It was a very good show for my students and for honor. And it was an opportunity where I got to talk to a lot of people that are in my community. And it brought up several things that I think would be really valuable conversations and subjects to get into. So I thought I'd do another video and we could talk a little bit about some conversations that I had or subjects that I kind of see are going to be important in 2026. And also I wanted to show you Arrow, because really this is why I do all of this. It's because of fun little babies like him. So did the show, and there were several subjects that I think are worth talking about. Can you follow me here? So the first is the USEF rule changes having to do with drugging in the sport. And this is going to be a bit of a rant, and I will try to keep it concise. The other subject that was really interesting that I talked to a lot of people about is price of horses and the price of horses and value for kids and students, and what is the best situation in terms of what you buy for a kid. So that's a really interesting subject. And then third is the role of hunters in becoming a jumper. And this is a conversation that is kind of interesting to me, because we are not, we don't come to the hunters directly, but we are finding ourselves doing more hunters. And so I want to talk about why that is. But first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be the drug rule and the reason for the drug rule and what I think it is getting at. A lot of people have talked about this, but I feel like I got to give my 2 cents worth as well. Okay, I got to take a break. Oh my goodness, so many creatures to feed. Okay, so the question, oh my goodness, what the heck is going on in here? So the USEF rule change that I particularly was discussing over the past weekend was the hair testing. And I basically understood that the hair testing was connected to the realization that people in the hunter world were using euthanasia drugs to drug horses, sedate horses, and those were best tested through hair follicles. So that I already knew. What I didn't know was the degree to which people at the top of the sport, people that are considered the pinnacle of the hunter performance, how much they are rumored to be involved and at what level. And the idea that these people could possibly be using kill-pin horses for experimentation and all of these very horrifying ideas in the name of creating a $500,000 hunter horse for an amateur. Okay, there are so many aspects of this that just set my hair on fire. And I'm going to try to calm down and think about this logically, and hopefully you can follow along. But, number one, what this says about the hunters as a, quote, sport is horrific. And I have lots of friends that do the hunter trainers, and I have really grown to appreciate what doing hunters is all about. But as someone who comes from the outside, the idea that people in the hunter world are drugging their horses to make them look a certain way at the level that they are doing it, everyone should be, pardon my language, effing embarrassed about that. Simple. And people cover each other's butts so much, all the way up to the USEF organization. And there are not stiff enough penalties for it. People do not experience the consequences. Judges are not changing. There is only one organization that I see out there trying to make a difference, and we'll get into that, and it's a new show organization. But people, we can't be drugging horses and experimenting on horses with drugs just to look quiet, because people don't want to put in the work and they just want to make the money. And that's all it is. It's pure greed. Okay, I want to break down some of the other parts of this problem and the whole idea of the amateur-friendly horse and what that is in our country and what it is not, and what it's doing. Okay, I gotta feed some horses, so this will take some time. The racing industry has nearly been taken down by the public's attention on use of medications and drugs and in the racing industry. And I don't understand why USEF is not paying attention because it is going to become public, and clearly I am making it public in what I'm trying to say here, that this industry is abusing doping in order to exist. And it is animal cruelty in a lot of ways. And the fact that people are not acknowledging that, or that we are having these FEI regulations and you can't put lavender on a horse, but yet we have people putting euthanasia drugs, pentobarbital in horses. Come on, people. This is pretty obvious how messed up it is. So let's cut to the chase and talk about why people are drugging horses for the hunter world. Because I'm not sure that it's as clear to trainers. I'm not sure it's as clear to the horse owner as it is to trainers. Okay, so the expectation of the hunters, and I probably should read a definition that somebody posted on the internet, but basically a hunter is supposed to do a course of 8 jumps approximately in a good rhythm and show a happy expression over the jumps and appear to be an amateur-friendly ride. Hunters is about form, is about rhythm, is about quiet, and these are nothing the horse has read the rule book about. So what happens is that people want to have this lovely, quiet round, and horses some days are not interested in that. And they may be well trained, they may have a good record, but they are not willing to play the game that day. So what trainers do in order to keep clients happy is that they drug the horses. And this is done in varying degrees. And the reason they do it is simply because the client wants to win the ribbons. And in order to win the ribbons, the judge wants to see a quiet, rhythmic horse that does all of its changes when it needs to and is completely obedient, or otherwise known as robotic. Okay, that's the judge's expectation. The owner's expectation is, I will spend X amount of money, which now is up well into the six figures, in order to have a horse that meets all of these requirements and doesn't scare me. And if I only ride on the weekend, okay, I'm not going to go down that path yet. The trainer has to meet all of these people's needs. And so trainers get into a bind where they can't meet those needs, and drugs fix the problem. Okay, where have we seen this before? I mean, it's our culture now that we medicate to solve our problems. Okay, let's think about that.
Watch how needy these cats are. You see how needy they are? You should hear them. They have the screechiest sound when they want something. They want to be fed, actually. But I just they seem like a good metaphor for like, I want this. I really want this. Look at what I'll do to get it. Look at me. Anyway, I needed an example of a metaphor, and the black kitties seem to be volunteering.
So I think we need to really define what an adult amateur is, because maybe there's some people watching this that don't really even know what that term means. It's a real common term thrown around most prevalently in the hunter-jumper world. You don't see it that much or as much in the eventing world, and you see it in dressage, because dressage attracts some of the same types of people. And I don't mean to categorize, but if you know, you know. So anyway, an adult amateur is basically someone who does horses as a hobby. Now, what that actually means, and I'm just making this stuff up about what the character of an adult amateur is, but most of them love animals. Horses is a way to spend some time outdoors, and it's also seen as kind of a posh thing to do. And I'm just going to tell you, the real equestrian lifestyle is not very posh. Just look around at what I'm doing every single day. But anyway, there are a lot of people who, they want to pay for someone to take care of their horse, and it's a stress release. And I'm waiting on Z. Here he comes. ZZ, you ready to go in? And horses should be, for the adult amateur, in theory, a break from the day-to-day. And that's I'm making that up, but I think that most of them would agree they do it for pleasure. By the way, Z here, he says he doesn't know what this nonsense I'm talking about, adult amateur. It's not a term they use in the horse world, as far as he's concerned. My point is that horses don't define themselves as adult amateur horses. They're just horses. And that's an important piece of this understanding that people need to let sink in. I think probably trainers came up with the idea of adult amateurs. And it's a way of describing a type of client that you have and the expectations, so that when you're talking to other trainers, you can say, I need a horse that will be good for an adult amateur. As if there is such a thing as one type of adult amateur. Again, why do people think that you can simplify things, especially when it comes to a living creature? I'm baffled.
I think I'm digressing. So, adult amateurs are the lifeblood of the sport. And we can make fun of them, we can embrace them, we can design an entire lifestyle around them. The reality is an economic one, and this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to the type of horses and why people have resorted to drugging horses for certain competitions. The reality is that adult amateurs are going to be looking for horses that are fundamentally safe. And unfortunately, 1,100 pound, 1,200 pound animal is safe and predictable a small portion of the time. That right there is probably one of the most amateur-friendly horses I have ever owned. Unfortunately, she was taken out by a pasture accident at the age of 7. But she's 1,200 pounds on a good day. She's super well bred. And she'll kick you in the head if she feels threatened. And it's just self-defense. That's the reality of horses. And that's not even talking about climbing up on their 1,100 pound selves. So how do you reconcile the issue that you have a person who wants something and is willing to pay for something predictable and wants to do a sport with a 1,000 pound animal that on a good day can be quite compliant? But certain days, they're about as compliant as your husband or your wife. It's a relationship. And I can't tell you how difficult it is for trainers, to figure out how to make the magic happen. And the more money that's at stake, the more magic people have to resort to. Play! Show us all your tricks. Keep going, it's entertaining. No, I think I'll have some salt. If somebody would come out here and play with him, he would play. And I even think he got out yesterday. Oh, you got a bug up your butt, buddy. Who wants to come ride that? Actually, he's kind of dead quiet to ride. The other big economic lifeblood of the sport is kids. And what parent doesn't want safety for their kids? So what trainers rationalize is, I have a pony horse that I have to make safe for the kid that's riding it. And maybe this kid does
extracurricular activities besides riding horses. Maybe they come to the barn twice a week and they don't have enough time in the saddle to really know how to handle problems. So what we're going to do is, for now, we're going to give this pony, this horse, this amount so that the kid can have a great experience riding the pony, horse, win the ribbons, have self-confidence, and go on to do more. And this is just a for now thing. Yeah. It's just one drink. Believe me, it just takes one drink. So, what's the solution, you ask? Well, I don't have solutions. I have possibilities, but I don't have solutions. I just think that, I have suggestions. I do have suggestions. And those suggestions basically comprise, ultimately, of managing people's expectations better and education. And you can't shortcut either of those things. So, for example, if you have given people these expectations that they're going to have everything work out perfectly, as a trainer, you're going to be stuck trying to make it happen by any means necessary. If a judge's expectations are only to reward robotic horses, I mean, what can trainers and clients, owners, riders do but try to meet those expectations by any means necessary? Ugh, horses. So, my point is, there has to be education about the horses, the behavior, what is required to make horses do what they can potentially do, but understand that there's so many factors involved in that situation, and you can't shortcut it with drugs. You have to put in the work. I think that is the thing that I see most people not wanting to do. It's the same with kids, you know? They have ADHD, so let's just pump them full of medications rather than figure out what makes the kid work and how can they function in the world if they don't have medications. I will say that medication for certain things, obviously, you're going to need medications when horses have certain injuries, when horses have certain problems that are horse life, not get in the show ring issues. You're going to deal with medications. You're going to have to drug a horse sometimes to stitch it up. You have to drug kids sometimes to stitch them up. It's just part of it. But to show, come on, people. I think that if we don't change our ways, it's not gonna, people are not gonna have horses in the future. You know, I'm a Gen Xer, just to give you a little insight into my age. And when I was a kid, you know, it was when the big drug epidemic was happening, and they had the Just Say No campaign, and one of the commercials that we all grew up on was seeing the egg frying in a frying pan. This is your brain on drugs. So, you know, maybe we need to bring that back. I think it might be a good picture for people to kind of digest.
I thought maybe Bly would want to join the end of this little video, because you want to talk about somebody who struggles with conversations. Bly only likes to talk to toddlers. Bly, here. Yeah. Or food. He'll talk to food. So, to kind of close it up, I'm not trying to demonize a person. Sometimes it's easy to want to do that. And I'm not even trying to demonize hunters, because I said at the beginning of this video that I have come to hunters through other disciplines, and I see a lot of what is really good about the hunters, and I'm actually going to do a video about that. I'm not going to try to kill you, Bly. But I think we need to call a spade and quit, just to use a strange southern term, pussyfooting around about this and address it. I think we need to have a change in the culture where drugs are not acceptable as an answer to a training problem, a temperament problem, a lack of putting in the work problem. And that's going to take trainers doing things differently. That's going to take clients having different expectations. And that's going to take judges defining criteria that they are judging on that don't directly require people to drug their horses to achieve it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward what the problem is. But are people going to address it? Mm-hmm. Problem is there's a lot of money in it. And apparently this is the new thing in Europe, the hunters. And I'll be curious to how they'll deal with it. Bly is too. One last thing. I will try to put some links to articles about this. Kind of funny story is my first reaction to all of this about the drugging was, I'm going to write an article about this. And then I was like, ooh, let's see what AI would say about this. So I did a query on Grok, and Grok wrote up a pretty amazing article. And the coolest thing about it was it referenced other articles that had been written. And I'll be happy to share that. It's AI written. I did not write it. But it's interesting what machine learning thinks about the subject. Also, I will try to cite the rule. I just think people need education, and so hopefully it's helpful and constructive. And please comment away. I couldn't care less if you got negative things to say, positive things to say. The goal is the conversation.